I challenge each of you rising stars, to inspire others by being your authenticated, dedicated, and driven selves, and to be intentional with your yeses. You're a rising star, and you are going to be asked to do more and more. And trust me, it'll happen if it already hasn't, because you already are doing a lot. Say yes and be intentional to what matters to you, and continue to rise above and lead the way. Be the example for everyone else, especially your families. Today, we are here to thank you. We are proud of you, and at Dubuque Bank and Trust, we are honored and proud to serve as a presenting sponsor for this event. We are here to celebrate you. We look forward to your continued ascent in the future and appreciate the work that you've already accomplished. Again, on behalf of DB&T, congratulations on this well-deserved recognition. Continue to make great things happen, and we appreciate all you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. Some inspiring words there for our rising stars to carry forward with them. The next person I'd like to introduce you to today is our keynote speaker, Jordan Fullen. Jordan is the Vice President of Human Resources at Hodge in Dubuque. She graduated from Wartburg College with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Business Administration and Fitness Management. She holds a Strategic HR Business Partner certification and is a Recruiter Academy certified recruiter. Jordan started her career with Hodge in Human Resources, serving as a Benefits Administrator and Wellness Coordinator. After a brief stint in this position, she was promoted to Project Manager, where she spearheaded projects spanning multiple cross-functional departments. In Jordan's current role, Vice President of Human Resources, she focuses on recruitment, employee engagement, performance management, and working closely with each Hodge business unit to support operational goals and objectives. In addition to her educational background, she serves on multiple boards and committees throughout the community in a variety of leadership roles. Currently, she serves on the March of Dimes Board of Directors and has previously served on the Greater Dubuque Development Corporation's Future Leadership Team, the Dubuque On the Move Committee, and the Run for Troops Board. In her spare time, Jordan enjoys spending time with her family and has a strong appreciation for leading an active and healthy lifestyle. Please help me in welcoming Jordan Fullen to the stage.
Wow, good morning, everyone. What an amazing group of leaders that we have in the room today. I'm so honored to have the opportunity to spend this morning with you. I'll be honest, when Jody called me asking if I'd speak at this year's event, I told her I'd check my schedule and give her a call back. I certainly did not need to check my schedule. Of course, I would spend time and take the opportunity to speak with all of you today. But I had to step back and reflect for a moment. How in the world did I land myself on the stage speaking to all of you? What do I have to offer all of our amazing future leaders? I was humbled, excited, and quite honestly, and probably mostly, nervous, and thought, perfect, let's do it. I called her back and said I was in. Then, in typical me fashion, for those of you who know me, I went into deep reflection. What traits do I feel are foundational to being a strong leader and impactful community member? Today's rising stars, quite honestly, illustrate so many of those characteristics that landed on my list. Today is about them, their achievements, and their paths moving forward. As we watch their videos, I know we will all be inspired by their dedication and commitment to their companies and causes. Today is also about creating more rising stars within our community. I'm a strong believer that if each of us does our part, what we can do collectively in this community is way beyond our imagination. If these rising stars are anything like myself, their paths weren't always smooth, and they weren't always sure if they were on course. Quite honestly, if they're like me, they may not have had a course to start with. I can certainly fess up to that at various points in my life. As we celebrate with these rising stars and hear about their achievements, I want to share a little of what I have learned on my journey in hopes you take one small nugget away that may help you on yours. So, a little bit about me. From a very young age, I was determined. Determined to walk, determined to ride a bike, quite honestly, determined to do anything I could to keep up with my brother, Zach, who's here today, which was no minor feat. That guy got everything right the first time, and I swear it took me 20. Ultimately, I was determined to prove I could do anything I set my mind to. When I hear of stories of myself as a child, it was often of a stubborn little girl shooing away anyone who was trying to help me. Those stubborn years are now biting me a little bit as I have a 3-year-old daughter who appears to be on the same path. My husband's also here today, and I do apologize, honey. I'm quite certain she gets that from me. This determination continued and is still a large part of who I am. As I reflect on where this came from, I have to say it's a culmination of so many things. Absolutely wonderful parents who are also here today and who have been there for me every step along the way, and constantly being immersed in an environment where I saw individuals challenged, meeting goals, and seeing that success. Quite honestly, I'm very fortunate to have had a great upbringing and a great mix of nature and nurture. That said, having great parents and a wonderful support system doesn't make life easy. In fact, at times, for me, that support system became a stressor, a place where pressures to excel and meet expectations came from. I found myself constantly trying to meet the expectations of others instead of the aspirations I had for myself. So, luckily, I enjoy reading, and in 2015, I read a book that really changed me and helped me write my own path, a book that produced something special that I turn to often. It was a personal mission statement, a goal for who I wanted to be, and an anchor I could turn to anytime I wasn't sure I was on the right path. For those of you who like to read, the book is The Only Way to Win by Jim Lohr. But there are so many great books that I have read since with similar guidance. The premise is to find your true passion, a picture of who you are and who you aspire to be. Your mission is your end. The book actually asks, when you die, how do you want people to remember you? Talk about starting with the end in mind. I may have shed a few tears reading the book and thinking about death and potentially not being there for my family, but you get the gravity of the practice. It makes you deeply reflect on what impact you want to make. My mission has helped me escape the external pressures of others and remain true to myself. It has anchored me to what makes me happy and fulfilled. When I created this mission statement, I didn't realize how much impact it would have in my life. But since its creation, I found that when I have big decisions to make, my mind automatically goes to its statement. I quite honestly pull it out and read it to myself. And I won't say that decisions are easy, but they certainly have become easier. To show its impact, I'll share a little bit about myself and some of the decisions I've made since the creation of my mission. Number 1, leaving an amazing career at a growing and successful company to join my family's business. Number 2, choosing to be a business owner and busy working mother instead of my original plans of working part-time when our children were young. And number 3, devoting countless hours toward personal reflection and development to optimize myself so I can better assist others. These decisions required deep reflection, and my mission truly grounded me while I was working through them. I share this part of my life with all of you because as I reflect on my personal growth as an individual and overall contributor, I truly feel the most impactful practices I've established revolve around personal reflection. Knowing who I am and grounding myself and my decisions in who I want to be, not who others want me to be. I love this quote from Rachel Hollis. You, and only you, are ultimately responsible for who you become and how happy you are. There's so much power in that statement. We as individuals are responsible for our lives and how we walk through them, but that it can sometimes be entirely overwhelming. We are all at different stages in our journey with different environments and with different hurdles to jump. I am certainly not an expert and quite far from perfect. But for all of our future leaders out there, I recommend spending time getting to know yourself. And if you like science and need a little justification, there is a lot of science behind happiness being connected to how authentic we are in our daily endeavors. The major point is get to know yourself and set the tone for how you progress through your life. Wow, that's kind of heavy and big for a midweek celebratory breakfast. So going back to my personal goal for this morning, I want to offer something bite-sized you can take from today, something you can quite honestly implement today. So I'm going to break this down a bit. Personally, I like to cycle through 3 foundational principles. I'll dive into each of them briefly, but they are: 1, start with the end in mind, essentially establish goals. 2, create a practice of personal reflection. And 3, be intentional with every action and decision you make. Are your decisions pushing you forward or holding you back? So let's briefly dive into these. Number 1 is connected to that personal mission statement, but also applies to short-term goals. Start with the end in mind. Your mission statement is your end. It's a goal. And I would truly recommend all of you find a practice of establishing a vision for who you want to be. But not every end or goal needs to be this big. I encourage you to set daily, weekly, monthly goals for yourself that will help you meet that larger vision. Life is so busy, and without this foundation, it is easy to let life sweep us away. How many of you have finished a day at work, got home to a loved one, or had a friend ask you, "What did you accomplish today?" Pretty easy question. You think about it for a second, and you don't have an answer. What? I was busy jumping from meeting to meeting, task to task, and I can't answer the simple question of what I accomplished today? In my eyes, we land there when we don't set goals and boundaries for what we can accomplish in a given day. I emphasize the word can because I think we all need to be realistic on what's feasible in a given day. Don't set yourself up for failure. These goals ensure we don't let the hustle of life take us in a direction we didn't intend. And when it does, which it will, you're more easily able to get back on track. So, number 1, start with the end in mind. Number 2, create a practice of constant reflection. The process of establishing a mission statement is a reflective practice with a long-term vision. I find this type of reflection crucial in making those big life decisions. But how do you make the daily decisions? This is the importance of daily reflection. How do I want to show up today? How did I respond to my environment today? Is there anything I wish I would have done differently? Rinse, repeat, every day. We have already discussed life is challenging. Those challenges can take our mind in so many places. We can't always stop negative thoughts from arising, but if we can slow down enough, we can acknowledge when they do and choose our next step. Are we going to feed into those thoughts or make a decision that will move us forward in a positive light? I want to emphasize a portion of that statement. We make a decision. We choose how to respond. I was listening to a podcast recently, and I loved what they said. The speaker said, "Love is a decision, not a feeling." I absolutely loved this statement. All of us choose every day how to present ourselves and how to respond to the various events and challenges that find us. We choose how to love. We choose how to show up to work, to our families, and to our communities. But if we don't slow down enough to think about how we want to show up, we may not present our best selves when life gets challenging or overwhelming. Build in a reflective practice is a process, and it certainly takes time to find the method that's best for you. But if I can give you a starting point and make a suggestion, begin your day with mindfulness. Before you dive into the busyness of each day, ask yourself, how do I want to show up today? What do I want to accomplish today? And then go do it. Which takes us to number 3. 3, not 2. Be intentional. I just talked about setting a goal for your day and said do it. It quite honestly is that simple, but this step might be the most challenging. This is where commitment comes in. This is where hard work comes in. This is where the grind and grit of tackling big things comes in. But this is also where we ultimately take control of our success. For me, personally, things haven't always come easily. I really have to study topics and concepts for them to sink in. There were times in my life when I would get frustrated by this. How do other people just get it? I'm honestly still chewing on this. But over time, I have grown to appreciate this, as it has taught me work ethic and commitment. I am sure many of you have heard the phrase, trust the process. This phrase became widely known in 2013 after Samuel Hinkie was appointed general manager and president of the Philadelphia 76ers. His mission was to rebuild a losing team. His message, success doesn't come overnight. It comes from consistent commitment and dedication, establishing a plan and showing up every day doing the small things, and giving those small things actions time to add up to big results. Patience, that's a tough one. Again, if you're anything like me, I get the lure to overnight success. But that's just not how it works. There isn't a fad solution to success. It's time, commitment, and hard work. Establish a goal, work backward to write out a plan to get there, and then follow the plan. And if I have learned anything from our president, Mike Hodge, it is not to give up when you fall off course. If you fail, try again. And don't be afraid to try in the first place. You never lose, you just learn. These are the principles I use. Start with the end in mind, create a practice of constant reflection, and be intentional about your daily actions. And if I can offer a couple other quick thoughts, remember how much you influence others. Our attitudes are so contagious, and our impact is large. Uplift others by being a positive member of your teams and communities, and surround yourself with a support system, people who lift you up in return. I know I've spouted off a lot this morning, so I'll wrap this up. We don't have time to create that life mission statement today, but we do have time to create an intention for the day. I want to take us through a short practice to help illustrate the power of these steps and how they can be used not only for that big vision, but also on a daily basis. If you feel comfortable, I'm going to ask you to participate in a reflective practice. So sit up tall in your chairs. If you do not feel comfortable, please, there's absolutely no pressure. If you're joining, please close your eyes or simply soften your eyes and look downward. If you're standing, for anyone standing, please just soften your eyes. Safety is always first. Take a deep breath. Settle into your thoughts. Where is your mind taking you this morning? How are you feeling today? Take a few moments to check in with yourself and the various emotions you are bringing into your day. We can't always control what comes at us in a given day, but we can control how we respond to our environment. How would you like to show up the remainder of this day? What do you want to give others you interact with? Is it patience, presence, support? Give yourself a moment to pick an intention for how you want to walk through the remainder of the day. No matter what arises today, you can choose to remain grounded in this word. Take one deep breath. Let it all out. And open your eyes. If you remember one thing from what I have said today, I hope you remember that you are in charge of your success and happiness. You set your own path. Write down the intention you just set and make it a reality for the day. Again, the quote from Rachel Hollis, you and only you are ultimately responsible for who you become and how happy you are. Begin with your personal end in mind. Reflect constantly on how you're feeling and if you're being true to yourself. And once you know you are, be intentional with every action and decision you make, and just keep moving forward. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to spend time with all of you today. Please, let's remember why we are here. Please join me in extending a much-deserved congratulations to all of this year's Dubuque Rising Stars.
Well, I have to say, as a yoga practitioner, so much of what you said resonated with me, Jordan. And you guys all just practiced a little yoga today. So see, it's not so scary. Nobody turned into a pretzel. Nobody had to touch their toes. It's all good. So that message of being intentional, though, I think that really resonates. And hopefully that's something we can all take with us and all be inspired by. So as Bob mentioned earlier, we've been going for 25 years now with our Rising Stars ceremony. As you can imagine, in that time, we've had the opportunity to recognize many, many, many leaders in our community, and we're so very proud to do that. Among us this morning, we have several past Rising Star recipients. So I'd ask those individuals to stand, and please hold your applause until we see everyone standing. If you've been a past Rising Star recipient, go ahead and stand up. And let's give these folks a round of applause. Thank you. I also want to recognize our Rising Star Selection Committee, and I'll have each of these folks stand as well. And again, hold your applause until we have all of these folks recognized. Stacy Hines, Jody Stricker, Anderson Saintsy, and Mike Fortman, who I don't believe is with us today. So thank you three for your involvement on this committee. And now the reason we are all here, to recognize our class of 2022 Rising Star recipients. Our first honoree is Patrick Arnold.
Patrick started about 11 years ago. He was 21 years old, just gotten out of college and started as a product engineer.
There's always a new problem, and that's kind of what engineering is what's the problem for today? So what's the new and how do we solve that problem?
Everybody in this company knows that Patrick Arnold is the architect of the solution to the problem.
Patrick is just one of those people who takes on a project and he makes it look simple.
It's this isn't working, or this isn't working as well as it should be, or we make a million of these widgets, how can we make them better?
And so we tasked Patrick with well, here's the problem, what's the solution?
So I think that was one of my first goals, was to get everyone working together and get everyone on the same page, get the communication together with all the teams, get them knowing, hey, what's going on with different projects? Can I use this portion of the project over there for a different project?
He was one of the youngest managers in the company, and he earned that. He was very adaptable. He was a product engineer, and we had an upcoming retirement in the industrial engineering side of our business.
Said, hey, we have an opening over in industrial engineering, and I was in product engineering at the time, and it was something that caught me off guard, but I said, let's do it. Let's try something new, and let's go that route. And it was the start of the adventure, I think, to where I am today.
Talking large scale equipment additions that basically filled up 100,000 square feet that was available space in Tennessee.
Currently, he's working on the single largest machining capacity expansion in the 166-year history of our company.
I kind of always knew I was going to be an engineer, from taking apart engines, building model rockets, building model airplanes. I didn't take classes that were going to get me the highest GPA. I didn't go for the most advanced classes. I went for the classes that were my passion. So I did shop class, I did woodworking class, I did welding class. Those are all the classes that interested me because I like to make things and figure out how things were made.
I have a quote on my desk from Eleanor Roosevelt that basically states, "A good leader inspires confidence in the leader. A great leader inspires confidence in their people."
None of us is as smart as all of us. He is one that works with his coworkers. He wants to get their opinions.
It's amazing to see a group of engineers sit down and you have that one spark of an idea, and then you see it snowball and get bigger and bigger as ideas keep piling on top of it and getting better and better until you finally have the aha moment and say, okay, here it is, here's what we're going to do.
Brittany is a long-term friend of our family, and I got to know her even more when she was doing custom artwork for my house.
About 10 years ago, I was navigating a challenging situation and I was looking for a support group for myself. And I found NAMI Dubuque and I started going to their family support groups and taking their family classes. And later that same year in 2013, I joined the board of directors. And 10 years later, I am our first ever executive director.
As I got to know Brittany over the years, I realized how multi-talented she was, not only with her advocacy and leadership in mental health services in the tri-state area, but also with her artistic side. So her creation of artwork, music, and singing, just a well-rounded person.
I think knowing that there is a population of people that need a lot of advocacy, and they can't always do that for themselves. That's really what keeps me motivated in my journey working with nonprofit.
I've seen Brittany be really keen on people's vibe in a room and be able to understand who needs help at that moment and be able to, in a subtle way, draw them aside and be able to address their issue based on her training and passion for mental health services. It's really something spectacular to see when she does it.
Being our first executive director with NAMI Dubuque, I think my goals are really to just expand our nonprofit in a way that makes us more approachable and accessible to people in need, whether that takes a few months or a few years. That's really a long-term plan that I have, is for us just to be sustainable and provide equitable care for people.
In the past couple of years, certainly, brain health and mental health issues has become at the forefront of everyone's minds, but NAMI Dubuque has been doing it for decades, helping hundreds of people. And so Brittany and her board of directors and her team are already available to help anyone who needs mental and brain health services in our community.
I really envision having a comprehensive, complementary, and interim care center where we can take our NAMI programs and our support groups and really round those out to kind of have a complete working system so we can fit the needs and meet the needs.
Brittany loves musicals, so I will use a quote from the musical Hamilton. There's a million things I haven't done, but just you wait, just you wait.
My daughter, Sherry, and Scott are the same age. They went to school at Southwestern and Hazel Green together. And second grade, my daughter Sherry took her stuffed Pikachu to class with her. Well, teacher took it away because stuffed animals aren't allowed. So my daughter Sherry, sitting at her desk crying, and here comes young Scott Freiberger over and sits down next to her and puts his hand on her shoulder and says, "It's okay, Sherry, it's going to be all right, don't cry." And to be honest, that's the same Scott Freiberger that is now my boss.
Well, I started here at Benton State Bank in 2017. Prior to that, I got degrees in finance and economics from Winona State University. Then we moved down to Omaha, Nebraska, where my wife was in graduate school. And I started banking at First National Bank of Omaha. And then when she graduated, we eventually moved back home. And I started here back at Benton State Bank, which is actually the bank that I grew up banking at.
You know, I think it's that vision, you know, that Scott brings with him that's going to take us into the future.
Theodore Roosevelt, you know, he did some things behind the scenes that weren't necessarily popular at the time, like protecting of the public lands. You know, it wasn't necessarily a super popular move, but it was the right thing to do at the time. And now we look back at him and everybody thinks he did this great thing with the national parks, the national forest. In the end, the end goal will be better if you've made the right decisions and if you've gone with your heart and gone with your morals on what you truly believe is the right step, you know, and making your decisions based on that.
He cares about the employees, he cares about the customers.
The people, between my family, my wife who's super supportive, the wonderful staff we have here at Benton State Bank, creating a culture that's friendly, family-oriented, and then being able to serve our local communities. It's rewarding to be able to provide, you know, financing to help somebody realize their dream or get them off on the right financial foot, kind of keep them moving forward in their lives.
Personal relationships, you know, everything comes back down to that.
Listening to people, taking their advice, not always thinking your decisions are the right thing, and then being honest about everything, even when it's your mistake.
He's very involved at the St. Joe's Church, where he and his wife and family attend.
So I think just being active in your smaller communities and supporting local. You know, we always kind of have this saying, eat local, shop local, bank local. Supporting those local things in your communities go a long way.
I met Nick back in 2008, actually here at the Grand Opera House doing Beauty and the Beast. I had been over in China with the Loras College Choir. We sang at the pre-Olympic ceremonies over in Beijing, and so our choir director was like, "Hey Beth, you do theater, we need a fly operator." And I was like, "Well sure, yeah, that sounds fun." I had never done flies before, so I got to be up in the loft and just a totally unique perspective on shows from up there.
I spent 7 years working at Clark University in their drama and theater program there, and then at the same time started a Rising Star Theater Company with a good friend, Megan Schumacher, and then eventually, about a year ago, started here as the Executive and Artistic Director at the Grand Opera House.
To see him start working with Rising Star Theater Company and developing that from the ground up, and it had 10 strong years, and now the merger with the Grand in his new position here, everything he does, he tries to do better than it was done before.
I'm always constantly looking for ways to push myself going forward, and hopefully that then trickles down to who I work with too.
He's never going to take anything away from the people that came before him, and he's always going to learn from that, but then he wants to continue to push the boundaries of what's possible and push people beyond what they think is possible for themselves.
And even to this day, some of my college professors that I'm still in contact with are the ones that really instilled these values in me in terms of how I approach what I do, both as an artist and as a person. So just always being open to different things. One of my college professors, they obviously want to show you what is maybe the more preferred way of doing it, but at the end of the day, she would always say there's many ways to yes. So you do eventually get to find your own way once we teach you this one way of doing it.
He's one that he always says he teaches to people's potential, not their ability. And so I think people that have worked with Nick and know Nick's variety of work that he's done really can see that coming through, and seeing their community members doing things before that they maybe didn't think was possible.
We're in the process of celebrating the tail end of our 50th anniversary season. And it's because of the community that we've been able to have 50 strong years.
And so if he's doing a show or if he needs some volunteers, people are willing to come and work with him because of just the value he places on the community members that help make the Grand Opera House what it is.
I'm very fortunate and very lucky to be where I'm at today and working with who I'm working with, but it's the people, and without the people, specifically here at the Grand, volunteers in the community are the lifeblood of what we do here, and without them, who are we doing it for?
My fellow thespian, Nick Halder, please come and get your award.
My network and I said, who is the next up and coming HR professional that's really looking for an awesome, fun challenge? And Katie's name came up multiple times.
The people. I think you could ask anyone who works in this organization at DePaco, it's about the people.
She's involved quite regularly in lots of things throughout the community, and I just knew she would be a great fit for this nomination.
My role with Opening Doors, I've been with them since 2012, and I've served on their personnel committee for many years, and the past few years I joined the board of directors, and this year I'm the vice chair on the executive committee.
It's a matter of making sure that human decisions are made about policies and procedures because it's all about humans.
I really love filling my cup up first because I can't pour out an empty cup to others. And so goals for me there is just to be intentional about how I'm taking time for myself.
She has hired over 500 individuals in almost the 5 years she's been here. She's launched initiatives that help with the employee well-being, the retention. She's worked on stay interview and coaching sessions with our supervisors. She's really focused on several things that have taken our employee experience to the next level.
Step out. Raise your hand, get involved, sign up for things that you might not know much about or you might not be very good at, and be willing to learn.
To truly engage employees in a human-centric culture, I would say that some of my favorite books come from Sheryl Sandberg, or there's also Brene Brown brings a lot of inspiration to me. But I would say any of those all together ends up putting it back to the people. And that's, so understanding and studying human behavior is really important in human resources.
The biggest thing for me that I think I just told myself early on in my career is never be afraid to let yourself evolve. And that has truly helped me continue to take one step forward every day. And some really great advice my dad once told me was, don't ever look back when you make a decision, and be confident in that. And that's really helped. That's really helped.
That one thing that would be kind of neat to catch on video is that today we are promoting you to Vice President of Human Resources. Shut up. Are you serious?
I met Stephanie in October of 2010 when I interviewed her for the job here at Huntcamp. I remember distinctly how poised and charismatic she was, and I thought, man, we've got something here.
Stephanie is an amazing person. She is really good at the technical parts of her job, of course, but she's even better at building relationships, both with her clients and her coworkers.
And early on in public accounting, I knew the ultimate goal was to be a partner. So ever since I started at HK, I've just been really focused on learning and improving my skills, whether it be technical skills or the leadership and management skills.
Stephanie has impacted our organization in a lot of really positive ways, mostly as a role model to the staff And also to the managers and partners, that her attitude and approach and always being positive and caring about people, and not just as a number or as a client number, but actually caring about the people that she's involved with, and they know that and feel that. And I think that's really changed our organization.
She's always an optimist. She's always trying to find ways to make things work. She always believes in people. She believes that they can do their best, and you can tell that in the way she interacts with the staff and her coworkers. She is always the first to congratulate someone for a job well done, and you can tell that she always believes in them and has confidence in them.
Yeah, the inspiration in our work is really just being able to help small business owners. Most people go into accounting because they're good at numbers, but you don't realize the impact that you can really make on clients and what we do every day, whether it's saving money through a tax strategy that you can implement, or something as simple as helping them with a compliance issue and them just receiving that peace of mind. You can feel it in your relationship with them that you really have made a difference in their business and in their life.
I think Stephanie's positivity and approach is contagious. It's not just here at HonCamp, but in the community and all the organizations she's involved in with her family and children and husband. We see it all the time. When she walks into a room, it kind of lights it up and people kind of migrate to her, and I think that's always a great sign.
Jack Welch has a quote that says, "Once you become a leader, your success is about growing others," and Steph really embodies that quote, in my opinion. She has always continued her own personal learning and growth, but she has really become a leader and someone people look up to, and you can tell that one of the greatest joys that she has at work is seeing other people grow.
Self-help guru John Gordon often says, "Don't chase success, make a difference and success will find you," and I think Stephanie's a perfect example of that.
We've always had a quote around the office, and it's been here for multiple years. I'm not quite sure where it started, but over the 26 years I've been here. But if you've always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. And you know, Michael follows in those footsteps.
I think Michael has great coaching skills. I think a lot of it comes from being the head boys basketball coach at Beckton Catholic in Dyersville.
I've always been a part of very successful teams, whether it's going all the way back to Little League Baseball, going to the University of Iowa, being part of different clubs, or the basketball team there, and then professional world, and then coaching my own teams. You know, I think that's what really motivates me, wanting to pull my weight. If I'm called on to be the leader of that group, if I'm called on to be the relied upon person, I want to make sure that my contribution's felt by everybody.
He's very passionate about business, and he's also very compassionate about the employees and people who are around him. He's always there looking for them to do their best. He's very encouraging for employees and wants them to do their best at all times.
I coach basketball, so it's season to season. I'm thinking long run, you know, where can we go as a company to be successful for all of our employees so they can live great lives, they can have great retirements. I'm thinking the same thing for the kids maybe that I coach in high school, and there's so many of them that now are in the business world that I interact with. It's just crazy to think that I'm at that age now where I'm seeing kids come up to me and talking about getting married.
Michael has directly helped Managed Solutions grow in areas that we, or I probably never would have in the past. He has brought new vendor partners to the table with new IT solutions for our stack that we offer our customers.
He has the ability to look forward, look what's going to happen in 5 to 10 years. He's really compassionate about how he can grow the business and be part of that, but also looking at the employees. We have a lot of tenured employees, and he can see full potential in each one of those employees, and he really tries to, he brings them all together in the situations or solutions we have.
You know, we've been fortunate as an organization to be supported by so many people in the community, so many successful businesses, whether they're family or run or not. That's really where our company's spawned from, and how do we continue to give back ourselves, take care of each other in our community, I think is a really, really big thing for the future. You know, when I've always believed in, you get a task, you get something given to you. We used to use the quote when I was in college at my job, find a way. You've asked to do something, your boss believes you can do it. Just find a way to do it. Ask the right questions, be curious, go out, meet new people. The only way you're going to find that way is by reaching out to contacts, utilizing other people maybe that have been there. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel, but all these things just make our community better as a business group, as individuals, as families.
What comes to mind with Mike Jr. is I follow the book Good to Great by Jim Collins, And he has done a great job of getting the bus going down the road the right way, getting all the people in the right seats on the bus, and making people realize their full potential.
Being Nick has been directly involved at DB&T for over 5 years. You know, we've had exponential growth in our portfolio, and to the point where, you know, we've really been able to expand our efforts now across the state of Iowa.
Finding solutions and things that really help people meet their goals and help them improve their lives is what I find inspirational every day.
He does bring a great deal of knowledge, and I think everyone has come to respect and understand that. And really, you know, he's not very outspoken, being on the quieter side, but when he does speak, he commands the attention of the room. He's very well thought out and very diligent in the way he speaks. And, you know, he really does a nice job in transferring his knowledge and what he's working on and what he's thinking about.
Really, I think putting your head down and working really hard, putting in that extra time. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room or in your class or whatever it is. It's really doing the day-to-day where those efforts you're making compound and really builds into a level of expertise where you can grow and thrive in a career and really help both your company, your family, and your community.
The advice I give is to continue to be patiently impatient. I think Nick has historically taken that and done that for himself. However, to continue to be impatient from the standpoint of asking and pushing for more.
I feel very lucky to have had the experience and mentorship and support I've had from my peers and leaders over the years. And now I really want to try to give back more. I fairly recently joined the Dubuque Main Street Board earlier this year, and I've been on the Library Foundation. And in both of those cases, I'm trying to bring some financial expertise to help the organization continue to meet their goals.
But knowing there's a time and a place and an effort to make at various times throughout your career is important, and to absorb everything that you've learned along the way and take that knowledge base, and not to be afraid to fail, and use those life experiences that you gain through your work environment, through your personal travels, through being a part of the community, and leverage that and learn from that and continue to grow as a person.
An important goal for me right now is to really figure out ways to more efficiently use my time. So every day my time is stretched between work, personally with my wife and twin daughters, and I really like to spend as much time with them as I can, but also meet a lot of demanding goals at work and help my community.
If you want something done and you put Temwa on it, he's going to be successful. That was demonstrated when he was at the Dancing with the Stars event. And when he did that backflip with Joanna as his partner, we knew right then that they had the competition nailed.
I met Temwa when he was a school connector, and he was helping high school dropouts get reconnected with their education.
We were talking about poverty in our community, and he was walking around and we were looking at the data together to try and reflect on what it meant and how it was impacting our community.
We were fortunate enough that somewhere along that path he decided he'd come to work for the city of Dubuque.
The path kind of started with my family. I've always been around my mom and just watched her, how she was so involved not only in the church but with the community as well. The relationships that she was building made an impact for me that I just wanted to be able to do the same.
One thing Temwa was really interested in is what data we had that we could share with them to learn more about the population that we serve, so that it would enable him to do his job better and more effectively.
He was really interested in making a difference and a change in our community, taking in that information and then sharing it out to other people so that we together could make a difference.
Temwa is in charge of what we call our City Life program. And so it's an effort for us to bring residents into a better understanding about how they can impact their civic life.
As the community engagement coordinator, one of the great things that we get to do with the Office of Shared Prosperity, our department, is actually growing healthy and great relationships with other organizations, businesses, organizations that are impacting our community. And so what that looks like is just being able to convene with them and find out how can we actually help our community members not only have access to the resources, but also be educated on those resources on how they can actually help advance them forward.
He's actually come up with a way to involve high school students in the program, and it's really exciting when you get to engage in conversations with these young people that are looking to impact and change the world.
He was driven and he was going to find solutions to the challenges that we were both having. And immediately we saw traction being gained on many different issues around these patients. And it really came to fruition in terms of getting a position posted for a community health worker that would enable us to have the resources we need to really focus on the special populations where there are greater health disparities.
I love the energy that Temwa brings to everything he does.
Generosity, grace, patience, empathy, and really thinking deeply about how, the situations and circumstances that affect us all can affect us in the moment and affect us out in the community.
Tony Robbins has been huge for me. I love the way that he disrupts the way that our thought processes are.
Our next honoree is Keisha Sainsey.
Keisha is an all-around amazing person. So I felt she was really deserving of this nomination because she's an inspiration to many. She's a mother of 4. She went back and got her master's. While she had children, she formed the Black Leadership Forum at her company, and she mentored young women in the community.
Growing up, my dad was enlisted in the Air Force, and his duty was to protect and serve. You know, while he was doing his duty, he would also have us doing service with him, whether it was community service, going to church and volunteering in the church, hosting different community events, fundraisers. He had us doing that from a very young age.
When Keisha formed the Black Leadership Forum, that was to ensure inclusivity at her workplace for Black employees and make sure they had career development opportunities and felt a sense of community. And she really did that because she really cares. And when we mentored young high school students, young women, she was very inspirational to them. She shared with them career opportunities, advice for navigating high school.
I had a wonderful professor and advisor. Her name was Angela Simon. And she guided me to really push me to try to make sure I'm getting my education. She allowed me to understand what my strengths were, and I wanted to be able to do that for somebody else. So one of the things that I set out to do was start a business resource group at Prudential, and I wanted to focus on leadership development and professional development and community involvement. So I started the Black Leadership Forum in Dubuque. We had our own chapter, and we were one of the first business resource groups for the company in Dubuque.
There's an inspirational quote by Michelle Obama, whom I love. She's a very inspirational figure to me. And it said, "Success is not about how much money you make, but the impact you have on people's lives." And I don't think that could describe Keisha any more perfectly. She's just a wonderful person. She gives back to the community, and she doesn't do it for recognition. She does it because she really cares.
My dad and my mom used to always tell me it's not always about you. You have to focus on others. You have to work to build other people up. The best leaders are those who put their time into other leaders. So coming from a faith-based family, we're called to be servants and servant leaders, and that's through serving others. And so one of the biggest things that I think all people should be doing is figuring out ways that you can be a servant leader. You know, what can I do for you today? How can I help you achieve a goal today?
Her setting goals and meeting them and having that positive impact on people's lives. Maya Angelou said something similar, that people won't remember what you did, but they'll remember how you treated them. And Keisha just treats everyone with respect and love and spreads love in our communities.
Our next award recipient is Heather M. Satterley.
It takes a very special individual to be able to look at a problem and try and figure out what needs to happen with that problem. That ability to understand the data and come up with a program that meets those needs that are reflected within that data or measures the success of those programs is critical.
I served for the City of Davenport's program, and I spent about 3 years during college kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to do as far as a career, and I just kind of decided that public service was really what I wanted to do.
So Heather's role in AmeriCorps has grown tremendously over the time that she's worked with us. She's been able to work with the grade level reading program.
We provide academic reading tutors into the school buildings who work with kindergarten through 5th grade students who are struggling with literacy.
It takes a very special person to be able to do that, to be able to take individuals, give them the information and training that they need to be able to impact the lives of our young people in different ways.
As I've spent time with the city, I've kind of become more passionate about not just AmeriCorps and serving other people and service and volunteerism, but also local government and trying to help people with whatever it is that they need to be successful in life.
Heather is a very compassionate individual. Whatever she takes on, she has the biggest, softest heart, but the strongest mind.
I started to reading about settlement houses in the early 1900s and just how that was a place that if people had need, that they could go there. And settlement houses actually really impacted local government and what it could be in public administration in general, whether that's nonprofit or government itself.
And we really refer to her as our resident data nerd. She's the one that goes out and looks at what does the data say. And then out of that, she looks at what can we do about that? How can we take that and use that data to help us come up with the best programs?
We're going to have some new positions that are just trying to make community change and address the needs that happen.
Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. When I think of Heather, that's what I think of. She's that committed citizen, and she is working to change the world.
And our final award recipient this morning is Clara Sieverding Capron.
We're not all able to do great things, but we can all do small things with great love.
I have those small tactical things, you know, keep going to the meetings, but if a great idea comes up, I'm not gonna say no. That's how I ended up going to one meeting about community heart and soul, and here we are with grants being written with the information that we collected, you know, and making a difference in the community.
Shortly after she had graduated from Loras, she was attending a one-day training on heart and soul. You know, the Heart and Soul program is about how do we build community, particularly in rural communities. At that point, Clara had moved back to Bellevue, and she was really focused on what she could do to make a difference in Bellevue. And I was working for Jackson County Economic Alliance, and I was looking at what we could do within the county to make a difference. Clara said, we need to do this in Bellevue. You know, we need to do the Heart and Soul program in Bellevue. And once you get to know Clara, you know that when she puts her mind to it, it's going to happen.
One of the biggest things when we look at community development is that strategic planning, that big picture. So how it all plays into each other. So what we have available in one park or what we need in another park. You know, how the community rallied around the city pool. We had the updated bike trails, so you can go all the way from Bellevue to Dubuque.
The thing that I probably love the most about her is her compassion. You know, we're working on projects, but it's still all about people.
You can start out at this high-level strategic overview, and you might be someone who thinks at a very high level and that's your strength. But recognizing that that might not be someone else's strength. So whether it's changing the language to brain health, whether it's getting involved in a community visioning process, or whether it's volunteering for your local farm to table event, or for a committee for the school or the parish or the library, behind all of the decisions, behind all of the logistics, recognize that complexity and then embrace it.
Congratulations to all of you, and I don't think I'm alone in saying that it's really inspiring seeing this particular class and exciting to know what they might accomplish in the future. So thank you for all of your work. At this time, I do want to recognize a few of our leaders at TH Media, part of making this event possible this morning. You all met Bob Woodward earlier this morning, our publisher of TH Media and Vice President of Woodward Community Media. Tom Woodward, who is our President of Woodward Community Media. Matt Connolly, our Director of Interactive Media, and Luke Rodham, our Advertising Manager. Let's give those folks a big round of applause. We also have to give a shout out to Jody Dodd, who is the organizer of this event, who does a fabulous job year after year, as well as Tom Eckerman and his video team in the back corner there, who put together all of these fantastic videos and kept everything running smoothly on the digital front this morning. Amen. And a final thank you to Antonio Perillo and his staff at the Diamond Joe for the wonderful breakfast, the amazing bacon, I'm told. So thank you guys. And lastly, thank you again to our sponsor, Dubuque Bank and Trust, who has been with us for this event for many, many years, to our keynote speaker and to Stacey Hines this morning. We thank you both. And thank you all. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Hey, thank you so much for being here.